Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Wellness Shift. I'm Christine Jennings, nurse midwife, with my beautiful co-host, Miss Nikki Kennedy, who is a ER nurse. And we've been talking about doing this for a few months.
Mhm.
And we finally got it together to get this organized to do tonight. So this isn't going to be something like super formal. This is like very informal, like two midlife mamas who both have twins. So fun fact, I have 12-year-old girl boy twins. She has just newly fresh 13-year-old boy twins, as well as a 15-year-old daughter. We can't leave Riley out.
We can't leave Riley out, the mob boss.
Oh, yes, exactly. But Nikki and I connected in Cancun back in February and like hit it off and turned out we really are like separated at birth because we are very, very similar. So we are the tall, what do we say? Bold, blonde, and board certified. Blonde, bold, and board certified. We'll get that tagline down. With twin mamas and 25 plus years in healthcare. So I've been a nurse midwife for 21 years, but was a nurse for 3 years before that. Nikki, how long have you been a nurse?
22.
22. So yeah,
Yep.
so we've been doing this for a long time. So we wanted to get on here to basically talk about, women's health, the things that you wanted to know but maybe didn't know, talk a little bit about hormones, talk a little bit about peptides because, Facebook has censored us, so we can't even get on there and talk about things anymore. Dispel some myths, and we're going to turn this into a monthly series, maybe bi-monthly. We'll see how it goes, see how our schedules work. So yeah, so I will start off kind of with my story. I joined LAMD in July of 2025. So next month will be a year. Came for the product, learned about the opportunity, and jumped on it. I was 47. I was doing all the things. I was working out. I was tracking my macros. I was eating well, like everything. And the scale just continued to go up. And so I finally reached out to a friend who I'd been friends with for years. She'd actually reached out to me a year before about the company, and I said no. And now I'm kicking myself for that. I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for tirzepatide. And then she told me about the opportunity. I was like, okay, well, I'm all in. And in 7 months, I lost 28 pounds. I got down to 18% body fat, and I didn't change anything else. Like, all I did was add in GLP-1 GIP. After a month of starting that, I added in NAD, which is technically not a peptide, but it helps at the mitochondrial level, so it helps with energy. And I did a cycle of that. So the thing with peptides, so if you don't know what peptides are, they're basically small chains of amino acids. They're like little text messages for your body. So they tell your body to do the things that they already do, right? So we already have these things in our body. Like you naturally produce GLP-1. However, there's an enzyme that like quickly breaks it down. So all those natural GLP-1 drinks that I promoted for a very long time and didn't help, you would literally have to drink it all day, every day, nonstop, for it to work because the enzyme breaks all this stuff down. And so, your GLP-1 GIP, aka tirzepatide, it can withstand it. The enzyme doesn't break that down and it stays in your system, for a week. Actually, longer than that, but it's a weekly dosing. I've also done a cycle of glutathione, which is your master antioxidant. Love it. Really great for the skin, but great to do before you travel, those kinds of things. I've also done testosterone and ipamorelin. I've done like 3 cycles of that. I'm just starting another cycle of that actually tonight. It came today. That's going to help with muscle preservation. So it stimulates your human growth hormone. So it's not a human growth hormone, but it helps to stimulate that natural HGH pulse at night. So because we lose growth hormone as we get older. So you take it every night. It helps with muscle preservation, it helps with muscle growth, helps burn visceral fat. The ipamorelin is going to help you with sleep and recovery, so I'm starting back that again. And then I've done a few other ones, but Nikki, why don't you share kind of your story and why you started?
Yes. All right. So I started because my A1C was a hot mess. So I had gestational diabetes, not once, but twice. I'm an overachiever, so I had to have it, both pregnancies. Had been diagnosed with PCOS prior to that, so went through some infertility things. So I had some insulin resistance. So I knew after my pregnancies that my risk of becoming diabetic because of the gestational diabetes was like 7 to 10 times higher than the an average person getting it within 5 years. And that was super scary to me. But I'll be honest, I kind of pushed off getting my labs checked for a few years after I had the kids because it was one of those things like I didn't really like want to know. Like I was terrified of it, but I didn't want to know.
That's my
So
husband. My husband doesn't get
yeah,
his labs done because he doesn't want to know what they
he doesn't
say.
want to know. Yeah. I was like, oh, I don't want to see the number. So, and I was with another supplement company at the time and I started to lose weight. I got back into working out constantly and I started losing weight. So, um, I ended up getting labs done a few years ago, like once I was in my 40s and my A1C was in the pre-diabetic range. So I just kept doing what I was doing, working out, taking my supplements, lost a lot of weight, like really had a nice transformation. But then weight started to creep up a little bit. Went and got my labs tested, and my A1C hit 6.2, which is like high end of prediabetes. Like I was like knocking on diabetes door. And at that time, I was doing Orange Theory Fitness 3 times a week. I was taking a TRX class and a boot camp class. So I was working out 5 days a week. I was tracking my macros. I was like 6'2". I was like, this is no bueno here. And I had just finished up actually a macro coach certification. So that January, this was like right around Thanksgiving. So January 1st, because we got to do everything on January 1st, I started my macro program that I created for myself specifically for PCOS. So I weighed everything. I ate before I would meet friends for lunch, dinner, like so I could control everything that went in my body. I cut out sweets. My first like sweet treat was Mother's Day. I stopped drinking alcohol. I was strictly doing strength training. I would walk after meals. That's like really good. Walk 5, 10 minutes after you eat to help with insulin resistance, increase that insulin sensitivity. So I was doing all the things. Had my labs checked, and it was like 5'9", and I lost 20 pounds. I did lose 20 pounds, doing all of the things. Had my labs checked. It was 5'9", and I was like, and I saw the doc, and she was, very pleased with how I looked, my BMI, all the things. Do you have any concerns? I said, yeah. I'm like, I'm really afraid I'm going to become a diabetic. I'm like, your ideal patient. I'm doing all the things. I was like, I don't even eat anything out of a bag or a box. She was like, she didn't even know what that meant. I'm like, processed foods. Like, I eat real stuff. And she's like, well, your BMI, I'm happy with that. And she's like, you know, it's really just, not a question of you becoming a diabetic. You're going to become one. It's just a matter of when. And I was like, like, what are you saying? Like, that's your answer? Like, I'm the best patient you've probably ever had. You can't get, most people to do like one of those things, right? Like, you can't
Yeah.
get most people to just like, let's just start working out or let's start tracking our protein. Like I was doing all the things and that was her answer. I wanted to throat punch her. I was like, oh, so I fired her. I've not been back since. I like was so angry. So I was like, what the heck am I going to do? Like, there's nothing else that I can like literally that I can change in my life. So that's when I started hearing about microdosing. And it was Dr. Tina. She was like talking about the microdosing, and I was like, "Ooh, I know that term microdosing. Used in other categories, but I knew what it meant." And I was like, "This makes a lot of sense." And that was what got me intrigued about it. I didn't know where the heck I was going to get it from. I didn't know like how I was going to get it because I was like, a doctor's not going to write for this, right? Like a normal primary care doctor isn't going to have any clue what the heck microdosing is.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started seeing it, on Facebook. The same person that Christine knows is who introduced it to me. We'd been friends for almost 10 years now. So I reached out to her and initially like I was a GLP hater, being an ear nurse, like I
Same.
just felt like I felt like it was like cheating. It was an easy way out. That was totally because I was putting all of the work in. But I'll tell you, you don't get a medal. You don't get a medal for putting all that hard work in. Like if I could have had that to make my life easier and went out to lunch with a friend and not ate like a psychopath before I went and actually like enjoyed, the pokey nachos or whatever the hell we were going to split, like that's like balance. That's living life.
Yeah.
So that was why I started. My A1C now, I will tell you, is 5.4, which is in the optimal range, not even normal, like it's optimal. My fasting insulin is perfect. My fasting glucose, prior to this had never been below 100 in like literally 15 years. So that is 90 now. I actually think the last one was 88. So that's perfect too. So that's what gets me excited. I did lose a little bit of weight with it. But I get excited about my labs, just being an ER
Well,
nurse
and
and
that's
knowing
the big part too. And I was listening to something the other day that said, people, and this is, I got on my mom about this because she had never had her A1C checked. And I was like, you are 68 years old. How have you never had your A1? Your doctor should be doing that. She's like, well, my fasting glucose is always fine. I'm like, dude, so is mine. Like my fasting glucose and my fasting insulin have always been fine. But when I did my labs last year, which I'm due for lab work again, my A1C I had officially gone into the pre-diabetic range. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is a problem. And so even if your like fasting insulin and your fasting glucose are normal, like you need to be checking your A1C because that's like the true like indicator of like what's happening. And all my stuff was normal, but my A1C this past year was not. So now that I've been on tirzepatide for like a year or 11 months, I'm really like I need to have my lab work done. It's just taking the time to do it. So, and I was one point I when I was pregnant, my diabetes screen was 139. So, you fail if it's
yeah,
140. I was like,
if we
oh,
were if we were to
perfect.
take turns. Yeah.
In 139. So, yeah. So, yeah, just because your labs, like, make sure you have all your labs done. And that's an important thing to ask your doctor is to get all your labs done.
Yeah, and you know what, that you bring up a good point. We'll need to maybe everyone that's on, we can like I have a list of the things you should be asking your doctor for because that's the other big thing. They do not order all of the things. Like
Yeah.
most people don't know their A1C. I have a lot of coworkers. They're like, "Oh, my doctor doesn't do it." I'm like, "How is that not standard?"
Right. No,
Like
I
there's
mean,
so many
it
that you
should
have to
be like
ask.
fasting blood sugar, fasting insulin, A1C, thyroid panel, which includes TSH, free T3, free T4, thyroid antibodies, not just a TSH. Like some people are like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I have my thyroid checked, and they have just a TSH. You need all four, like the full thyroid panel. And
Yep.
also, if you're in your 40s, you should be having your hormones checked. Because we have HRT is here for menopause. So if you're in menopause, we have HRT available. If you're perimenopause, it is coming soon. But your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone, those are really important because if your hormones are off, like peptides help your body. If your body's in an optimized state, they're gonna work even better. So if your hormones are off, the peptides may not work as well. So getting those hormones stabilized or under, regulated are key. And most people are gonna need some estrogen, some progesterone, and some testosterone. Like
Yep.
testosterone, you should for sure have checked. And even if they tell you it's normal, if it's not like, it's got to be like real good normal. Like if it's low normal, you need supplementation. Like 99% of women probably need some testosterone. So
Yeah.
you've been
And
taking
then
it. How have you been liking your testosterone? Or have you not been on it long enough to feel like it's
no, I think I definitely think it's starting to kick in a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been like maybe 5 weeks, maybe
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and hormones take time. They take time
Mhm.
to like titrate and that kind of thing. So, all right. So besides microdosing, what
I don't
else
want
have
to
you
say
been?
libido loud because my husband just got in the shower. You
Well, we know
know,
what that means.
yeah. So I like say that I'm like spring into action. So that's why I'm being a little like you talking about there.
All right. Besides microdosing, what other peptides? You've had good success on our new Barbie Pep.
Yes, yes. I definitely have had
We both have.
good good success on that one. So I initially like wasn't going to even order it. So it's the one that it essentially makes you tan. That's why it's called the Barbie peptide. It also helps decrease appetite and can help with your libido too. So initially I was like, oh, I'll wait until the fall. But then my friend here was, since we just had conference, was like, why don't we just get it now? And then we would like won't have tan lines, we don't have to get spray tans. I was like, all right, you're right. Good call here. Just like, and then in the summer, like we won't have to be out in the sun as much and can be more productive in the shade and not like fighting with the sun. I was like, you are raising excellent points here. So I like got on my phone. I was like, And it shipped so fast, it was here in like 2 days. So it started kicking in. Everyone at work's always like, "You are so tan. You're so
Yeah,
tan."
I
I'm like,
got
"You can
that.
see this cool all the time." I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, actually, it's my new peptide."
Well, there's peptide for that. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, it makes you tan, it helps your appetite, and it supposedly helps your libido. I'm not sure it's helping them with that yet, but that might take a little longer to kick in.
Yeah. It always does for us women. They
Yeah,
said that the men could have like spontaneous erections. I'm like, of course that's what would happen to them.
right. All right,
Like,
what else have you taken? You're a big NAD girl, right?
yeah, I mean, I've pretty much, I mean, I will say that I'm like a peptide hoe. I will try all of them because I
Same.
just think like, especially you hear someone like Dr. Pensick like talk about all of the benefits or just someone that's been using them for years and you're like, why would I not, integrate this in, at different times. I definitely think it's like, smart to cycle them for sure. I'm not saying everyone be on like 12 at the same
Right,
time. You want to like see what's doing what. But I will always like cycle in the NAD and glutathione just because of all of the benefits at the cellular level. I'll say like I'm someone, maybe some of you guys can relate. I'm my whole life, I'm not like a big feeler of things, like um people like take creatine and I have a lot of friends like they can feel it, they notice a difference with it, they know that they sleep better, they feel like they have more focus. I'm just am never like a big feeler of things, but I do everything because I know like it's working at the cellular level. And you can see it like again, lab work and just how like we're all aging, I'm gonna
right.
squirrel here, but like we just were at a conference with 600 plus, people that are all on some form of peptides and like these people are beautiful and like
Right.
aging so well
Yeah,
and healthy. And like I've been to a lot of other conferences with my other company and I'm not like throwing shade or anything, but I'm like we like look the part. We look healthy for
right.
promoting like true health and wellness. Like
Yeah,
people really like just like looked good and you don't believe so many people's like ages. You're like, so that's why like I do like all the things like the NAD and the glutathione. They certainly help me. I was telling Christine earlier, like when it's like that time of month and I'm just like feeling like ick, like sometimes you wake up and you're like, and I give myself my NAD and my glutathione and I'm like, I feel so much better if I, every now and then I'll get a headache or something, give myself it and I feel great.
you've had too
Glutathione,
many drinks. If you've been out for the night with a girls'
yeah,
night, give
that's
yourself some
another,
glutathione. Gonna help.
yeah, it'll protect your liver the next day. Um, to like sickness, I'll use that. Like right before Cancun, my daughter she was not feeling good, and then all of a sudden, you're like tickle in the throat, and you're like
Yeah.
something happening. And I literally went on and quick like ordered glutathione and like used it, and I ended up not getting sick and like felt great in Cancun. The BPC, the Wolverine stack, like that's a fantastic one
Yeah,
for
I've
just
done a
like
cycle of that too.
recovery. Yeah. I think that's another one that like should be cycled in. And you touched on the Tessa IPA, like that's another good
And
one.
the
I did a
BPC
cycle
is
of
good for
that.
gut health too. So
Yeah.
if you have gut, which I have Crohn's, so I did a cycle of that in August when I had my Crohn's flare. As soon as I got out of the hospital, I like ordered me some BPC 157, and then I did another cycle of it like a few months later. So, like Nikki said, it's cycling them in. You're not like on all these things all the time. You take a couple, you take one for, most of them are 8 week cycle, and then you cycle off for like 2 to 4 weeks, and then that's when you can kind of add something else in. And a lot of them stack up and like complement each other well. So, um,
Yeah, you're rebooting these like different systems, and that's the cool thing with the peptides is it's not forcing your body to do something it doesn't know how to do. Like you hit 35, 40, and your levels of everything just like plummet, and then like by the time we're 50, they're like really in the tank. So it's just giving your body back this signaling system and it knows what to do with it. And I think that's just like the fascinating part because like our bodies are smart. Our bodies are so smart and they want to heal themselves. They want to protect, they want to protect us. They know how to heal, but we are not living in a world that makes it very easy
right.
to do all the things and keep all the things out. So when you have something like peptides that are, they're natural and your body knows.
Yeah.
It's like give
Oh,
them. Give them.
and GHKCU. That's
Oh
another big
yeah,
one.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know, we forget that one. That's going to help. That's the
Yeah.
copper peptide. So it's going to help with hair, skin, nails, like fine lines and wrinkles, but also helps with it helps with your collagen and elastin production, so it's going to help with your joints. I was like a diehard collagen person, like because I sold it. And I really did feel a difference when I took that collagen, but then I left that company and there were a lot of things when I left that company that made me very mad, and so I didn't want to use any of the things anymore. And so I stopped, but because I was using like the BPC 157 helps with your joints, and then the GHKCU, I've done 2 cycles of that. Literally, like I was having a lot of knee issues. Like I swore by the collagen because it truly did help my knees. But then I stopped it. But since I've been using, peptides, like I don't have joint issues anymore. Like my knees don't bother me. Like I can run. Well, I'm not a big runner anymore, but I was never really a runner. I mean, I ran a half marathon once, and
You could if you wanted to run, is the
I
point.
mean,
If you needed to
yes,
escape something, those knees
yes.
are going.
I mean, I did a half marathon before we had the twins and checked that off the bucket list. But like I'm not a runner anymore. But just because I work out a lot with strength training, like ladies, if you're not picking up the weights, you need to be picking up the weights and like ditching the cardio because like gone are the days of like, running, 6 miles a day and like you need to be picking up the weights and just get your steps in. Like you don't have to run. But like I have zero knee issues. So it's for sure like between and then GLP-1s are going to help you with inflammation and joints and all that. Like they all just complement each other and they all like help and work. So, okay, we are going to talk about myths. Like we're not going to keep you super long. We're going to try to keep this at 30 minutes max, which means we have like 5 minutes left. All right. So biggest myth. What do you think the biggest myth is?
I think the biggest one is people say it makes GLP-1s make you lose muscle.
Yeah, which we know is not
Like,
true.
yeah, yeah.
So any kind of
Not
rapid
true.
weight loss is going to make you lose muscle. So the key to not losing muscle is strength training and protein.
Yeah,
So whether you lose 20 pounds from Weight Watchers, if you lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks, no matter how you do it, you're going to lose muscle.
yeah.
It's not the medication that makes you lose the muscle, it's the rapid weight loss. And
And
so,
there's been studies that show that GLPs are actually anabolic. They actually help you put on muscle.
yeah, right. So prioritizing your protein and strength training 2 to 3 times a week. I'm on my mom about this all the time. I'm like, you've got to like lift some weights,
Yeah.
lady. Like you got to lift some weights. And it's good for your bones, like so many things. But like muscle is our metabolic like engine. Like that's what we need. That's going to help your metabolism is building the muscle. So the other one, hair loss,
Yeah.
which again is tied to
Yeah.
nutrition.
Fast weight
So
loss, not enough, being like malnourished,
yeah,
not enough protein. That's what's causing the hair loss. I feel like those two like essentially go hand in hand,
right.
you know.
Yeah. You got to eat, you got to get your protein.
I know, like my hairdresser,
Right.
he's always like,
Look,
you have thick,
we have,
beautiful hair. I'm
and my
like,
hair's never been thick.
that's because I eat.
I've never had thick hair my entire life. I've always had very fine hair, but like I've not like lost my hair.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing we hear a lot is like it's gonna make you go blind. It's not gonna make you go blind. I promise you.
Mm-mm.
Like it's ridiculous. And then another people are concerned about like GI issues, which you can speak to this a little bit. Like tell me about your patient who came in the other day.
Yeah. So the GI issues is most times dose related. Like I had someone just come in a few weeks ago and she gave herself a shot of one of the name brand ones. I don't remember which one. And she was like, violently vomiting. And she came in EMS, so we got the call. And that's all they say is, oh, she's on a GLP-1 and she's vomiting. I'm like, I guarantee you the dose was like high, right? I'm like, I guarantee you that's what something's off. And she did. She had found it in her fridge. She hadn't used it in 6 months. So she found like a dose and just gave it to herself. So she had been on it, but they titrate the dose up, especially the pens. Like they go up. You don't have control over your dose. So she did. She used like the pre-filled syringe and it was one of the higher doses, not using it for 6 months, and then gave it to herself. So of course she was sick. And like the doctor even said, well, has this ever happened to you before? And she was like, no, because I was like on the lower doses and then went up. And I'm just like in the background, like, yeah. So, of course they're like, don't use this anymore, but it's like it was dose specific, and
Yeah.
that's typically like what happened. Someone didn't read the instructions right. Um, for them to have to like come into the ER and be like that sick. Or they like bumped up. They went from, 5 to the 7.5 and like it was too much for their body, and that's the big thing. And that's like why I love it here because it's low and slow. No
Mhm.
one's forcing you to go up. It's not, it's all about how it's managed. It's being educated, how it's managed. No shade to the PCPs, but like they're not educated on this. They're just going by like the manufacturer's instructions. They're writing the script for the next pen. And a lot of people don't need it. Like you find a dose that you're getting results at, you're losing 1 to 2 pounds a week, you're feeling better. We don't have nausea. Like, why do we need to go up on a dose if you're
Yeah.
having results? You don't, you know? So it's like low and slow. This isn't like a race to the finish line. I still don't understand the people that lose the 20 pounds in a month. Like, I'm not sure how that like even
I don't
happened.
either. I mean, I'd have to look back, but I think I lost 9 pounds my first month, which I was very happy. I mean, that's like you said, 1 to 2 pounds a week. And I have so many people that, they get frustrated because they're like, oh, I only lost 2 pounds this week. And I'm like, that's
Perfect.
perfect. Like
Yeah.
that's what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
Like losing 10 pounds in a week is not what you want to be doing because if you're losing 10 pounds in a week, you just lost a shit ton of muscle. Like
Correct. Yep.
that's what's happened. Like you need to slow and slow, like you said, and it's going to be more maintained. You're going to have sustainable weight loss if you're losing 1 to 2 pounds a week.
Yep.
Losing massive amounts every week is just, it's not healthy and you're losing tons of muscle. And the goal is lose the fat, maintain the muscle. So, all right. Well, we are at our 30-minute mark and I don't want to keep us any longer. So if anybody has questions, I know a couple of people had to jump off, but I didn't look in the chat here to see if there was anything.
Megan just said that the GHK helps her with her rotator
Oh,
cuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's something that with the GHK CU that people don't realize that how much it can help with the joints because it's helping with your collagen and with your elastin. And as you start losing collagen in your 20s. So anything that's going to help that, and I still do now I do bone broth to get my collagen because I put it in my coffee and it's delicious. So I don't need that other collagen, but ugh.
I
All
love it.
right. Well, thank you everybody for jumping on. Thanks, Nikki. Uh, we
Thank you,
will
everyone.
we will get this scheduled again for next month. Y'all can message us with some topics that you want to hear about. And we will catch you next time. So, all right. Have a good night.